In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, General Secretary and State President meets former leaders of the party and state. Later on, Uncle Ho's testament shows theoretical and practical values. In our world news, Thailand's governing alliance chooses PAETONGTARN SHINAWATRA as the Prime Minister candidate.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lin Lei with the latest updates. Now, on the 79th anniversary of the August Revolution and the National Day, September the 2nd, General Secretary and State President Tho Lam on Thursday chaired a meeting with former leaders of the party, state, and Vietnam Fatherland Front. These included former General Secretary Nông Đức Mạnh, former State President Huimings, former Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng, and former National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Văn An. Also at the meeting were former National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng and former National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn also attended the meeting.
Expressing his joy at meeting the former leaders, General Secretary and State President Tho Lam sincerely thanked them for their sincere and enthusiastic suggestions on the common achievements and emphasized many important tasks that need to be carried out immediately.
The Politburo agreed that from now until the end of the year, we will focus on projects to be presented to the 10th Central Conference and a group of projects to remove difficulties in socio-economic development. We must not let any bottlenecks hinder socio-economic development. It's important to develop the country and socio-economy strongly. We highly appreciate your comments on these issues.
To prepare for the party congresses at all levels towards the 14th National Party Congress, the country's highest leader revealed that subcommittees have agreed on a number of principles and viewpoints, ensuring the planning of the country's development path in the coming years following the hard work of its predecessors.
The Politburo and the Secretariat are resolutely directing 4 tasks, including 1. Focusing on leadership to ensure breakthroughs, acceleration, and early completion of the successful implementation of the targets, goals, and tasks set forth in the resolution of the 13th National Party Congress. 2. Prioritizing the removal of institutional difficulties and obstacles, creating the most favorable conditions for all activities within the legal framework, and improving people's lives. 3. Focusing on leading the implementation of social security policies, improving the people's material and spiritual lives. And 4. Resolutely and persistently fighting against corruption and negativity, and contributing to building and rectifying a strong party.
To prepare thoroughly for the 14th Congress, General Secretary and State President Tho Lam emphasized the entire party, people and army must strengthen solidarity, maximize all resources. The leader hopes to continue receiving the valuable help and advice of former party and state leaders.
Party General Secretary and State President Tho Lam on Thursday met with former guards and medical workers who served President Ho Chi Minh during the time he lived and worked at the Presidential Palace in Hanoi from 1954 to 1969 on the occasion of the 79th anniversary of the August Revolution and National Day and the 55th commemoration of the late president's death. The party and state leader praised the contributions of many generations of cadres who served President Ho Chi Minh at the Presidential Palace in the past and have been preserving the relic site since the late president passed away. He underlined the special significance of the Ho Chi Minh relic site at the Presidential Palace, where the late leader lived and worked until the last moment of his life, and shared his feelings each time he visited the relic site to pay respect to the nation's father. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Thursday announced that General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam's Central Committee and State President Tho Lam and his spouse will pay a state visit to China from August the 18th to the 20th. The visit will be made at the invitation of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and President of China Xi Jinping and his spouse. On Thursday, receiving U.S. Ambassador to Vietnam Mark Evan Nappers, National Assembly Chairman Chen Thanh-Mẫn proposed that the United States continue to consider classifying Vietnam as market economy, soon remove Vietnam from the U.S. list of countries with restrictions on high-tech exports, and increase the budget to overcome the consequences of war. The National Assembly chairman expressed appreciation for the two sides' efforts in exchanges on legislative and supervision work. For his part, the U.S. ambassador said that the two sides have a lot of potential and room for cooperation. He said he would discuss with relevant ministries and branches about classifying Vietnam as a market economy. General Phan Van Giang, Politburo member, Deputy Secretary of the Central Military Commission, and Minister of National Defense, hosted a reception for the Chief of Defense Forces of Malaysia in Hanoi on August the 15th. He suggested that the two militaries should continue to implement the Deputy Ministerial Defense Policy Dialogue Mechanism while establishing mechanisms of Air Force consultations and exchange for young officers, promoting collaboration in promising areas such as defense industry, military medicine, and United Nations peacekeeping, and continue to support each other at multilateral forums. On Thursday, Nguyễn Xuân Thắng, Politburo member, chairman of the Central Theoretical Council, director of the Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics, attended a conference on the 55 years of the People's Public Security implementing President Ho Chi Minh's testament. He said that the profound theoretical and practical values of the testament have created motivation within the police forces to implement the Politburo's resolution on building a truly transparent, strong, regular, elite, and modern people's police forces. At the conference, delegates also evaluated the implementation process of the testament for security, order, and construction of police forces. "55 years ago, before passing away, President Ho Chi Minh left behind a testament. It contains just over 1,000 words, but the document shows his sincere feelings, special concerns, thoughts, and wishes for the entire party, people, army, and international friends. The more time passes, the more clearly we see the theoretical and practical values that beloved Uncle Ho sent to the future."
The original, absolutely secret, document is being preserved at the Central Committee Office's Archives Department. 55 years have passed, but the beloved leader's handwriting is still intact. The last written version was written on the back of a special reference news of Vietnam news agency.
After Uncle Ho passed away, Vu Ghi went to see Prime Minister Phạm Văn Đồng and showed him the testament, and was asked to directly hand it over to the Politburo meeting. According to Vu Ghi, Uncle Ho would write the will from May 10th to May 19th. There had to be a highest representative of the party to confirm that this was Uncle Ho's will. So later we had the signature of General Secretary Lê Duẩn.
From February to May 1965, there were many events, such as the country supporting the South and the U.S. increasing its attacks on the North. So in the first will, Uncle Ho included details related to current political events. Then, in 1966, he reviewed it but did not make any changes, and so did in 1967, as he was sick. The main changes to the will were in 1968 and 1969.
Uncle Ho's testament was first announced at the state funeral on September 9, 1969, but only 20 years later that the full text was published. The only thing the party did differently from the testament was to preserve his body for a long time, for people and international friends to visit.
The publication of the full text of Uncle Ho's testament, and his deceased date, September 2nd, caused a great stir among people. Uncle Ho mentioned how to bury his ashes, and requested agricultural taxes exemption after the war. The Politburo's decision to exempt agricultural taxes for 1 year was considered a courageous decision while the country was facing many challenges.
55 years since Uncle Ho passed away, his words to the country are not only a national treasure but also the crystallization of great cultural values of the nation and humanity, illuminating the future path for Vietnamese generations.
Coming up next on VTV News. Mobilization of resources for social housing development. And later on, young Vietnamese artists win prizes at Vienna International Arts Festival. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now, nearly a month after the historic floods in Sơn La province, many Thai ethnic villages remain heavily inundated, with some areas over 10 meters deep. Authorities, organizations, and individuals are providing food and evacuating people and property, but challenging terrain makes draining the flood waters difficult.
Roads have turned into rivers, with some areas over 20 meters deep. People are returning to the fields, but instead of a 15-minute motorbike ride, they now take 40 minutes by raft.
A few days ago, the water receded slightly, and I was relieved. However, it rained again, causing the water level to rise once more.
The recently harvested peanuts and corn were moldy and sprouting. This woman's flooded house forced her to stay elsewhere for nearly a month. At nearly 70, she had seen many floods, but never one this long or deep.
I'm saddened by this situation and hope the floodwaters recede, but the rain is getting heavier, causing the water to rise again.
3 villages in the commune were flooded, affecting over 20 hectares and 55 households. The area, situated in a valley surrounded by rocky mountains, relies on a natural cave for drainage, which is now clogged with waste, according to local authorities.
After clearing the cave, we will take measures to cover it so that the water can drain evenly and not be covered by garbage.
Previously, another village faced similar flooding, prompting Sơn La provincial authorities to dig tunnels through the mountains for drainage. While awaiting a solution, locals still have to use rafts to navigate along electric cables.
A series of earthquakes recently struck Kon Tum, with tremors felt across the central and central highlands regions. The growing frequency of these quakes is alarming, particularly in Kon Plong district, Kon Tum province. This area recorded dozens of quakes in a single day, most of which were identified as induced seismicity linked to local hydropower reservoir activities. An early earthquake warning system now emerges as a top priority to enable prompt and effective disaster responses.
Kon Plong district, Kon Tum province, has been identified as the epicenter of hundreds of induced earthquakes. The area is home to 2 of the province's largest hydropower reservoirs. Induced earthquakes began to occur more frequently 3 years ago, when the Upper Kon Tum hydropower plant started water storage operation.
We propose that the National Steering Committee for Disaster Prevention and Control and the Institute of Geophysics assess quake risks and issue early warnings so that local authorities can develop appropriate response plans.
We urge scientific bodies to research and develop equipment capable of predicting earthquakes 5 to 10 minutes in advance. This would allow residents to take proactive measures. Currently, most earthquakes aren't reported until they strike.
The areas experiencing earthquakes are also regions with numerous hydropower plants. Enhancing early warning capabilities to help downstream residents brace for impact and minimize damage is now seen as a critical priority.
We have installed 6 seismic monitoring stations at the hydropower sites to track ground acceleration. Data from these stations is sent to the Institute of Geophysics for analysis and evaluation.
With the rising frequency of earthquakes, there's a dual imperative to safeguard the reservoirs and ensure the safety of downstream communities.
Ho Chi Minh City is conducting citywide review and inspection for public trees to ensure the safety of tree growth, as well as reduce the risk of fallen or broken branches. Priority observations focus on the junctions between the trunk and branches. If any concerns are identified, staff will take photos, send them via phone and video call for assessment. Public tree inspections will later be conducted more regularly to reduce the risks of failure and property damage to residents. 4 state-owned commercial banks following 4 joint stock commercial banks have registered to participate in the $4.7 billion preferential loan package for developing social and worker housing projects, bringing the total value of the support package to $5.6 billion.
This is one of 4 banks committing nearly $200 million to the social housing development support package.
This preferential package offers a 2.5 to 3% lower interest rate for individual customers and a 1.5 to 2% lower rate for organizations and businesses compared to the bank's current average lending rate.
The state bank proposes cutting the lending interest rate for home buyers by another 3%, potentially halving the current rate. Despite 2 previous reductions, social housing buyers still face interest rates of about 7 to 8% per year.
If the government cuts interest rates, it will help home buyers like us balance our living expenses.
To boost resources, the housing law exempts social housing investors from land use fees and rent for the entire project area and assigns localities responsibility for allocating land funds. While increasing resources is important, freeing up existing ones is crucial. Over nearly 2 years, the credit package has used only $52 million, or just over 1%, which is too small a number.
Reducing licensing requirements helps investors access credit packages 6 to 12 months sooner.
Whether the goal of building 1 million social housing units by 2030 is achieved depends on many support policies, with credit policy being especially important.
The United Nations Development Programme, or UNDP, in collaboration with the administration of the southernmost province of Cà Mau, handed over 59 safe houses to coastal households in August 15. With a 254-kilometer-long coastline and 41 coastal and near-coastal communes and towns, many poor households in Cà Mau still lack housing or necessary conditions to build decent houses. With the efforts of the UNDP, local administration, and beneficiary families, the project has successfully achieved its goal of building 425 safe houses in Cà Mau. The provincial authorities hope that sponsors will continue to assist poor households in stabilizing their lives, ensuring safety during natural disasters, and helping them escape poverty. Vietnamese contestants participating in the International Arts Festival in Vienna, Austria, have won high awards. This shows that Vietnamese youngsters are increasingly capable of competing and creating art on par with their international peers in the fields of music and art. More on their achievements in this next story.
Contestants participating in this international art festival compete in the piano category for children and teenagers. This is the first time Vietnamese contestants have competed at the Vienna International Art Festival, but they already possess good skills and performance, especially in terms of musicality.
Participant was very strong, very good. I think he got the prize at the competition. A talented guy, who is interested in music, in classical music, so I wish him a good success in the future.
The Vienna International Arts Festival's categories include piano, violin, cello, and French horn. The festival has attracted young contestants from many different countries in Europe and Asia, especially countries with developed classical music cultures such as Germany, Austria, China, and Japan.
This is the first time I have participated in a major competition in Europe. With my teacher and parents here, I feel very confident about finishing my competition. My goal is to practice hard and win prizes in the upcoming competitions.
The three youngest contestants of the Vietnamese delegation, Lê Tấn Tài, Lê Lam Anh, and Nguyễn Huimings, received special prizes and certificates from the judges. This is the first step for the contestants in approaching art and also an encouragement for the Vietnamese people participating in world classical music festivals.
While paper crafts often evoke thoughts of Japan's famous origami, in Hoa Thanh Town, Tây Ninh Province, a young artisan is creating intricate works from paper scraps. Mai Quang Tien, fueled by his passion for craft, transformed this humble material into detailed artworks.
Over the past 2 years, Tien has consistently refined his works, discarding numerous unsatisfactory pieces along the way. Through persistence and skill, his creations have gradually improved, showcasing his precise craftsmanship.
I'm fascinated by miniature figures of houses and other architectural designs in comics or games. Then I began studying them, drawing inspiration from games or comics, and I learned a lot in the process.
Tien typically spends 3 to 4 hours on simpler models with fewer details. More complex designs can take up to 2 weeks to complete. He uses different types of paper based on the intricacy of the details required. All products are finished with a base and protective coating to ensure durability and suitability for public display.
I don't know much about this art, but I can see how skilled and meticulous he is. It must take incredible craftsmanship to create something like this.
I've only seen these characters in games before. I never imagined they could be crafted so vividly with paper. The attention to detail and craftsmanship are remarkable.
Tien's small cafe doubles as his art workshop and a platform for sharing his craft with young enthusiasts.
In the future, I plan to design my own unique models with traditional costumes. I want to incorporate specific patterns and elements to create more personalized works.
Coming up next in our world news, Thailand's governing alliance chooses PAETONGTARN SHINAWATRA as Prime Minister candidate. Later on, Stonehenge altar stone traveled 700 kilometers from Scotland. Now moving on to our world news. On Thursday, the ruling coalition led by the Phie Thai party selected PAETONGTARN SHINAWATRA as its candidate for Prime Minister. PAETONGTARN, 38, the leader of the Phie Thai party, was chosen by the party executive committee. Before this decision, two key coalition partners, the Thai Pride Party, the second largest party in the coalition, and the Thai United National Party, has stated they would support the candidate provided there is no backing for amending Article 112 of the Thai Constitution. Meanwhile, a leader of the People's State Power Party, the third largest coalition party, also expressed support for Phie Thai's prime ministerial candidate in a parliamentary vote on Friday. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol on Thursday offered to establish a channel for working-level talks with North Korea. According to President Yoon Suk-yeol, establishing this official dialogue channel could help ease tensions through economic cooperation, cultural exchanges, people-to-people interactions, disaster response, and climate change efforts. He believes that dialogue and cooperation can lead to substantial progress in inter-Korean relations and urged North Korea to respond to this proposal. The South Korean leader also affirmed that he will initiate political and economic cooperation immediately after North Korea takes steps toward denuclearization. Relations between South Korea and North Korea have been increasingly tense recently, with South Korea protesting North Korea's weapon tests. North Korea has also criticized the joint military exercises between South Korea and the United States. At the center of Stonehenge lies a hefty sandstone slab called the Altar Stone, whose origin and purpose have been among the mysteries of the farmed megalithic monument. A new geological analysis has revealed that it took a remarkable journey to become part of one of humankind's ancient wonders.
Its altar stone, weighing an estimated 6 tons, travelled roughly 435 to 465 miles in ancient times, from Scotland all the way to England's Salisbury Plain. New research, published in the journal Nature, was carried out by scientists at Aberystwyth University, UCL, Curtin University and the University of Adelaide.
To bring it 700 kilometres, however you brought it, whether you brought it down by boat or whether you brought it over land, it must have taken a huge effort to do that.
For the past century, the common belief had been that it had been sourced from Wales, like other large components at the UNESCO World Heritage Site. To find out the age of the stone, researchers studied its geochemical fingerprint.
It's a microanalysis technique. You fire a very focused laser beam on the minerals in the rock, and it vaporizes them. You analyze the vapor, and you analyze the uranium concentrations, the lead concentrations, and by looking at the ratios of those, essentially, you can work out the age of the mineral.
Researchers say this feat, perhaps by both land and sea, suggests a degree of societal organisation among Britain's Neolithic communities unexpected for the time when it was moved, thought to have been about 4,600 to 2,500 years ago. The precise location where the altar stone was sourced remains unknown. But researchers say the challenge of taking such a massive cargo such a long distance underscores its importance to Stonehenge's builders.
And now let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our official website or our YouTube channel or download the mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.